And welcome back, hockey fans. You found your way back into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. The craziness that has been free agency and the draft has died down, so that means we can go back to asking one question of all the teams around the league. This time up, it's the Atlantic Division. We've made our way into the Eastern Conference. What questions will we have for the teams in the Atlantic? What's going to be happening in Montreal with the Canadiens? How about the Detroit Red Wings? Are the Ottawa Senators trying to make a run at it? And what do we make of teams like Toronto or Tampa Bay or the Florida Panthers? How much can they improve this offseason? What do we want to see from them? We will be asking one question of all these, plus more teams throughout the Atlantic Division tonight. Plus some other news. Jaromir Jagr decided he had to have some fun during free agency. And my Blackhawks just are determined to get rid of anybody with any inkling of talent. All that and more coming up on the Neutral Zone. Let's go. Hello and good evening once again to everyone out there, hockey fans, one and all across the IE Sports Radio family. You have found your way into the Neutral Zone. I am Adam Kernick. Zach Puplis will be along with us momentarily as we get back into our one question segments. We found our way back into the Eastern Conference now. We're going to be doing the Atlantic Division tonight. All sorts of good things happening there in that division, plus some other news and notes, some fun things from across the NHL landscape this past week. And of course, our usual banter and nonsense and silliness for which we are so well known. But before we get too much into that, of course, we do need to acknowledge our sponsors here at IE Sports Radio, starting with the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try it for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. Find them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California _Warriors, or Facebook search Southern California Warriors. IE Sports Radio has been here now for the last 8 years, and we continue to bring you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we're ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs on all of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And I want to say thank you to our Patreon supporters now, Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. And ways you can keep up with IE Sports Radio on social media. It's very simple and easy. At IE Sports Radio. We're on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. At IE Sports Radio. Very simple, sweet, straightforward. This show is available for you on Twitter at IESR Neutral Zone. I am at Adam_Karnick. Zach is at The Pupless. And without any further ado, good evening, Zach. How are you doing?
Fantastic. How are you, Adam?
Not bad, considering I got home 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, no joke.
It's the time of year. It's that simple, straightforward. It's getting into the busy season, into the crazy season. So, it is what it is. Made it in time to do the show, though.
Woo!
So, we're asking one question of the Atlantic Division tonight. Starting at the bottom and working our way to the top. So we did the entire Western Conference before the draft and free agency and all that good stuff. Now we're into the Eastern Conference, and this division is top heavy. I mean, you figure you've got the defending three-time Eastern Conference champions in Tampa Bay. They finished third in this division last year. This is a crazy, crazy division. Do you think at the end of the season, do you think this is the best division of the four in the sport?
Oh yeah, I would think so. I mean, just look at 2 years ago. I mean, when they had the divisions broken up by actual cardinal direction, north, south, east, west, and with the Canadian division, with Montreal winning that division and making it all the way to the Stanley Cup final. And we even said that going, prior to last year, going back into regular division, that Montreal was going to have a tough time getting back to the Cup. And because just how strong this division was. And sure enough, that was the case.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, it was, of course. Yeah. Having two teams from effectively the same division make the Cup final. Oh, Taryn has challenged us in the chat room. He's Atlantic Division. That means we won't hear the Coyotes getting made fun of. Challenge accepted, sir.
Oh, don't worry. We have this division's version of the Coyotes.
Oh. Indeed. So let's start things off.
We laughed about them last week, and then you dropped their name in the intro. So
yes, but we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit there. Let's start off with Montreal, the Canadiens. They last year finished at the bottom of this division. So let's start there with the Canadiens. And I'm sorry, Zach, was this a U team or a me team?
That was a U team.
That's what I thought. I had them marked down, and then I doubted myself. So I'll just keep going then. Canadiens, 22, 49, and 11 overall. Just 55 points on the season in the standings. That was bottom in the entire NHL. They were minus 98 in their goal differential on the year. Just a terrible, terrible season for, how do we want to say it? The Cup runner-up. That's just the easy way to put it, I guess. Since they weren't really they were in different divisions, so you can't really say they were the Eastern or Western Conference champions. They were the Cup runner-up a year ago, and it did not finish well for them. Looking at some of their overall stat leaders from a year ago, you had Nick Suzuki was the leader in points. He finished with 23 points on the season. He also finished with a team high 40 assists. The leading goal scorer from a year ago was Cole Caulfield with 23 goals in 67 games. Finished with 43 points on the year. And that's the top of the team. And then you're just nothing pretty with this team offensively. Goaltending wasn't a whole heck of a lot better on the other side. You had Sam Montembeault started the most, 38 games, went just 8-18 with a .377 goals against average, was 8-18 and 6, save percentage of .891. Jake Allen had the better numbers overall. It was 9-20 and 4 with a .33 goals against average and a save percentage of .905. How do you turn things around if you're Montreal? That's my big question. You were a surprising runner-up for the Stanley Cup the year before, and then, okay, we weren't expecting great things from this team, but to so completely fall to the exact bottom of the NHL this past season was surprising to me. They made some interesting acquisitions. For example, they traded for Kirby Dach on draft night, from former first-round pick of the Chicago Blackhawks. So they're trying to get some better players, some youth in there, and Bell Center went nuts when that trade was announced. But my big question for the Canadiens is, how do you get out of the cellar? This is a team in a city that deserves better than being in the bottom of the NHL.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, with their team and their history, original six and all, they definitely deserve better than being a cellar dweller.
Yeah.
How do they fix it? I guess you could look at the Red Wings as a model in the sense that, make sure you have a good, strong, young core of young players, and then throw in a couple experienced veterans, a decent goalie, and see where you can go with it.
Yeah, gotta make some things happen. Gotta definitely make some things happen there. But
you look at their season 2 years ago when they made it all the way to the Cup final. They're not the Eastern Conference champs. They're not the Western Conference champs, but they still won the trophy as if they were the Western Conference champs.
You had to give them something, so sure, pick one. Just give them one of them.
Right. So, the way they got there, in my mind, okay, you caught lightning in a bottle. And it maybe it's just that they lucked out the way the divisions were structured because of COVID. Maybe the Canadian division was weaker than all the rest of them or something. And so, again, if you want to go metaphorically, they need to catch lightning in a bottle. If you want something more concrete, we might have to start rebuilding and have a young core of players to build around. And then maybe get some veterans to give some, stage wisdom experience.
Yep, and their first draft pick, Juraj Slafkovsky, a winger, I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up helping sooner rather than later as well. So they're making some moves. We'll see. I wouldn't expect great things from them this offseason, but they should hopefully be able to do something,
Yeah. Question. So, since the draft was held in Montreal this year, did they get any kind of boost? Has there been any documented boost in a team's success, X number of years after hosting the draft?
Not that I can think of offhand. I'll have to look at that. I don't know. That's a good one for next time. I'll have to look at that. I don't know offhand. What
just in terms of like what's shown on TV, like this is a nice arena, this is a nice city, et cetera, et cetera. The management seems to be upfront and transparent, and maybe you got some free agent who saw that, and he wasn't a free agent this year, but maybe next year he's a free agent and says, oh, well, I want to go to Montreal.
Certainly can't hurt. Yeah, it certainly can't hurt when that happens.
Unless they hugely botch something.
Yeah, unless something goes horrible. So
yeah.
All right, that is the Montreal Canadiens. So that brings us next to the Ottawa Senators. I believe this was one of your teams, Zach.
Ow! oh, wait, Senators, not Coyotes? Oh, okay.
Yes. The Senators, not the Coyotes. They're the Eastern Conference Coyotes, I think we're going to go with here.
Yeah, perfect. There we go. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me. All right, so they finished 7th with a record of 33, 42, and 7 with 73 points. Goals for 227, goals against 266. Let's see. So they've got one of the Tkachuk brothers, Brady. He's there for his 4th year, 4th or 5th. I'm not sure exactly where he is in that. But they've also added some new players, some free agent acquisitions, just this last 2 weeks. So Alex Brinkett, my apologies again to your Blackhawks.
Yes.
Sorry to reopen that wound. Cam Talbot, fresh off the beef he had with Marc-Andre Fleury, if you will. Maybe not necessarily beef with him directly, but the way management handled the juggling the 2 goalies. And then one that I mentioned last week that I picked another team in this division because I wanted to read up on this player and and the very next day came to find out he got traded or he signed with somebody else.
Whoops.
Claude Giroux is now with Ottawa. So he came from the Flyers. He had a very brief stint with Florida, and now he's in Ottawa. So my question is, okay, you got a lot of newbies, new free agent acquisitions. How are they going to help them get out of the cellar? The only team worse is, Arizona.
Yeah, I am very intrigued by Ottawa. You look at these moves, DeBrincat, Talbot, Giroux, they're trying to be players this season. They're trying to be somebody this season. And cool, go for it. The more teams we have active and trying to go for it as opposed to selling off and trying to tank, that's great. That's what you want to have happen. So I'm all for it. Go Ottawa, go.
Right. Yay, try not to suck.
Exactly. I'm preparing to do a longer segment basically around that premise for Chi-Town Weekly one of these weeks coming up, where it's basically we've got too many teams in professional sports as a whole just tanking, just actively not trying to win. So when we see a team, even though I don't know if this is going to work for Ottawa, but damn it, they're going for it. Good for them. Go Ottawa, go.
Got to give them credit for trying, for sure.
Exactly.
I never quite understood the point of like the draft lottery. The ones we follow the most, NFL draft, for instance, doesn't have a lottery. But now that you say that okay, that brings up a really good point. That's probably the whole purpose behind the lottery is so that teams can't just tank for Tua, if you will, and expect to get the first, the number one draft pick the next year.
Yet it still happens. And you look at the NBA, you look at the NHL, two sports, and now MLB is about to have a draft lottery. I believe that starts next season.
Oh, damn, okay.
And tanking is rampant in all three of those sports. So having a lottery doesn't change the fact that teams try to tank.
It's still doesn't cut down on it. Damn.
Yep. Look at Montreal. Look at Arizona. Look at the Blackhawks. Actively trying to be as bad as possible so they have as good a chance as they can get of getting one of those top 3 picks and getting somebody that they can hopefully bring up sooner rather than later to try to help the team out.
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, you do keep seeing the same names in the bottom year after year.
Oh, and Taryn is hard at work keeping track of our meter for us. Oh, he missed one though. He missed that we brought up MLB. I'll correct him on that.
Hey, I don't think it should count if we're using it to prove a point in hockey.
We weren't talking about them to talk about them. We were making a point. Very good, Zach. Yes, absolutely. See, we're getting better with this, making our wild divergence into other sports, at least trying to keep them based in hockey in some way anyway. And we're going to go with it.
We use things we know more about necessarily, or that the public as a whole might know more about, to better describe things that they might not necessarily know about, such as hockey.
Exactly. I mean, you listen to it. Heck, you listen to it in our drop. We know that hockey's not everybody's first love. So any way that we can help people understand what it is that we're saying. Heck, I'm not sure we understand what we're saying all the time. But
well, it's basically like, hey, this concept in a different sport? Yeah, that's basically the same idea in this sport, and that's why they do X, Y, Z differently. Maybe.
Exactly. All right, moving on. Next up in the Atlantic Division, we have your Detroit Red Wings. Zach, take it away.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world.
I've
score a goal just now?
I've never disliked that song more than I was at the Joe, and everybody in perfect expected unison and way over the top. Sam Detroit.
Well, the feeling is mutual about Chelsea Dagger.
That song is perfect because it annoys the hell out of everybody else.
Oh, I had a friend I used to work with who was a Blackhawks fan, and that was the year that they won the cup in 2013. And so she knew that I could get things stuck in my head very easily, and so she just innocently started. And I didn't catch on, and at first I was just like, oh, that's catchy, and so 10 minutes later I found myself humming it. She's like, ha, got you. I was like, dang it.
Oh yeah, Chelsea Dagger. That song is catchy as hell. I love it.
Ugh, hate it.
I understand.
I digress. All right, so Red Wings, they run up 6. They are 32-40-10 was their final record with 74 points. Goals for 230, goals against 312. So they bring back it's strong. This is kind of what we're talking about, maybe how Montreal gets back into things. Strong, young, returning core of players. Dylan Larkin, Tyler Bertuzzi, Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider, with some long-standing Red Wings, Danny DeKeyser. Jacob Vrana is also he's only been there a couple of years, but I definitely recognize the name. and Nedeljkovic, the goalie. Well, they've added quite a bit in free agency over the during last season, as well as just now in the last couple weeks. Oscar Sundqvist from St. Louis, Andrew Kopp, New York Rangers, David Perron, St. Louis, Ville Husso, St. Louis, Ben Chiarot from Florida, and then prior to that, Montreal. It feels like St. Louis light a little bit with all these new St. Louis players coming in.
It really does, yeah.
Which, I mean, hey, every little bit's going to help, especially, these names have been around St. Louis for, a number of years, going back to when they won the Cup in 19, and any kind of playoff experience, being tested in the playoffs and winning the Cup, I think that's going to help this team for sure. So that brings me to the question. At one point they had a 25 or 26 year playoff streak. How soon until they start a new playoff streak?
I mean, it's tough for Detroit because of the division they're in and the way the playoff structure is right now in the NHL. It's so division based. I would not be surprised, though, to see Detroit take the jump this season and get back into the postseason, make it back into the playoffs. Not necessarily make a playoff run by any means. It's going to be hard because Florida's not going anywhere, Toronto's not going anywhere, Tampa's not going anywhere, Boston's still going to be good, Buffalo's ascending as well. This is a tough division, but Detroit should be right there with those guys. I don't know. Did you bring up Dominik Kubalik at all when you were mentioning guys that they brought in?
No, I didn't recognize that name, actually.
You're going to like him. It's another talented player that clearly means the Blackhawks don't want him because he's good at hockey right now.
Go figure.
So Kubalik's another really good scoring forward that's going to help this team. I would not be surprised to see Detroit make the postseason this year. And with that netminder that you guys have as well with Nedeljkovic, this team should be set up well, I think. So I would not, to answer your question, maybe not this season. It might take another year, but certainly by 2024, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Detroit in the postseason in 2023.
That's kind of where I'm at. And with the two goalies, Nedeljkovic and Husso, providing good competition for each other, I think that'll help. And they've got a new coach, Derek Lalonde from Tampa Bay.
That's
if you
right.
Can't beat them, join them, that kind of thing. Or if you can't beat them, steal their assistant coaches.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah. So, hopefully he can bring some of the winning formula from Tampa Bay, back to Detroit. And on top of that, maybe my question is, maybe there's too much weight. Maybe there's too much pressure in that question. Because baby steps, one step at a time. Okay, we gotta at least make the playoffs this year. And then once you make the playoffs one year, okay, well, let's do it again next year. Let's try to get further. Let's get to the the semis or the conference final, or actually so on. Baby steps.
Yeah, there's something to be said for taking baby steps, but they're making moves in the right direction. They're definitely making moves in the right direction, Detroit. I like the offseason they've had so far. The arrow is definitely pointing up.
Right. Well, I'm right there with you. I'm just in terms of starting a new playoff streak. So maybe, like you said, it's a tough division, and maybe if that's that's just from a bygone era, and maybe they won't have such a good streak, ever again. It's entirely possible. So, just if they can get back to the playoffs, hey, anything past that, icing on the cake.
Exactly. Just get back in. Yep, get back in.
And just look at Montreal 2 years ago. They caught lightning in a bottle, and like once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen.
Oh yeah. You get in and all kinds of crazy stuff happens, which is fun. It's part of the fun of it.
Yeah, I mean, like we got our prior to a couple weeks back, or a month ago now. The two-time defending champ. Just 3, 4 years ago. They got swept in the first round by Columbus. Again, anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. And it usually does in the NHL playoffs too.
Yeah.
All right. So after Detroit, next up on the list, then as we're making our way through the Atlantic Division, we've got the Buffalo Sabres. Sabres went 32, 39, and 11, 75 points overall in the standings. They were 232 goals scored for, 290 against, so they finished negative 58 in the in their goal differential. Top scorers from a season ago, you had Taja Thompson he led the team both in points, 68, and in goals with 38, while the leader in assists was Rasmus Dahlin. He had 40 assists. Big story, of course, though, was that Owen Power came up towards the end of the season. Owen Power played in just 2 games towards the end of the season, got his first 2 NHL points, got his first goal and his first assist. This is a team on the rise. Had some fun things happen throughout the season, especially when you figure they had through the whole Jake Eichel debacle and losing some other players. They way overperformed. So for me, my question for them, first of all, on the ice, you've got to fix your goaltending. But my question for the Sabres, was this past season real or was it a mirage? That's what I want to know from Buffalo. Prove to me that last season wasn't a flash in the pan, that it was the start of something. For a more tangible thing, the easy way to show me that is figure out your goaltending situation. That was bad a season ago. You look at their numbers from last season and their goaltending. You had Craig Anderson made the majority of the starts. He had 31 starts, 17, 12, and 2, a 3.12 goals against average. They didn't have a goalie start double-digit games and have a save percentage above 90. Their best save percentage guy was Dustin Tokarski, who had an .899 save percentage and was 10, 12, and 5 overall. If they can shore up between the pipes, that to me would show that they're legitimate.
I get you. Excuse me. They got Malcolm Subban, PK's brother. Pecan. Just kidding.
I would not call him that. That would not end well for you.
Yeah, PK and Subban got kind of juxtaposed together. So they got Malcolm Subban. You talked about Craig Anderson, Dustin Tokarski. So Ben Bishop's listed here. Didn't he just retire though?
Yes, he is on the roster for salary purposes. Ben Bishop is retired.
Oh, that's just for like salary cap.
Yes, he helps make sure that Buffalo gets above the salary floor. See, that's another thing that makes hockey so different from the other sports that have caps. In the NFL, you never would worry about a team getting above the salary floor. In the NHL, you do have teams that struggle to get above the salary floor, so you trade for retired players so that you can add their contracts to your books and get yourself up above the floor.
Wow, that's so weird.
Very.
Well, we talked about having a core of young players, and we also talked about people tanking to make sure that they can get the first pick in the draft, so on. Well, in this case, I feel like Buffalo's a combination of both, because not only do you have Owen Power, like you mentioned, which, side note, he's so new. On ESPN, there's not even a picture of him on the roster.
He's still the generic cartoon frame.
Yeah, generic shadowy frame. But you've also got, previous first-round picks, Rasmus Dahlin, and then you've also got the team, some of the players that you traded. The guy with the neck issue. You just went to Vegas. What's his name?
Jack Eichel.
Jack Eichel. Okay, gotcha. As part of the Jack Eichel trade, they got Alex Tuch from Vegas, so he's in the fold now. Who else? Cody Eakin rings a bell. So, they're starting to get a good mix of, veteran players as well as a good young core that they're bringing up in their system. So, yeah, I'm with you. You just got to figure out the goaltending.
I know Patty, she hosts the Buffalo show earlier tonight on Tuesdays. I know she was very encouraged by what she's been seeing from the Sabres at the end of the season and is hopeful for things to come. At this point, and we'll get into this more as we get closer to the actual season starting, we'll get into this more in September. Right now, I'm a little higher on the Red Wings than I am on the Sabres, but the Sabres are still good. There's still something to show there.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure just getting that whole Jack Eichel situation behind them is just going to be two loads of good for them. Just having that complicated, complex situation out of their hair.
Yeah. All right, let's get Boston done real quick here, and then we're going to take a very fast break. The Boston Bruins, and was this you or me?
Yes, sir. So Boston finished fourth. They're 51-26-5 with 107 points. Goals for was 254. Goals against 220. So, we talked about the Red Wings returning a strong young core. Well, Boston returns a strong veteran core. The usual suspects. Excuse me. Usual suspects: Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, Charlie McAvoy to an extent, and Jake DeBrusk as well. And they've been consistently making the playoffs for at least a decade. They might miss it here or there, but again, it's a tough division. So, do you want my serious question first or my facetious question?
Oh, facetious, please.
Can we get an over under on Brad Marchand licking or biting people for next year?
I love it. I don't think the number can go high enough where I wouldn't take the over. Say it again so that I can hear it and not do a spit take.
Can we get an over/under on Brad Marchand licking and or biting people for 2020 and 2023? 2022, 23.
I so want to set it at double digits. I so want to go 10.
Well, and on top of that, remember like middle school math, like before you learned algebra?
Yeah, sure.
So you got greater than or equal to, right? So you could oh God, you could delve even deeper into this. And you could have it be strictly licking, if you wanted to place bets on things. Strictly licking, strictly biting, and then you could have the licking and biting, and then you have licking or biting as the very last one.
Oh man, we're getting
4 different options.
We're going down a rabbit hole here with this. We'll just shorten it up. How many times will Patrice Bergeron antagonize the crap out of somebody else on the other team?
Yeah, there you go.
I will, whatever number you set it at, I will take the over.
Sure. Well, that was my facetious question. My serious question is, okay, so if you look at the last 5-6 years, it's kind of like a bell curve for them. They peaked in 2019, making the Cup final and losing to St. Louis. But prior to that, first round exit, made it in 17, made it to semis in 18, Cup final in 19, and then backed out of the semis in 20 and 21, and then the first round exit this year. So, they got that good veteran core, but what's it going to take to get back to that Cup final again? It really hasn't been that long since they were contending. But what's it going to take and how long? What do you think?
Boston, to me, they do feel like a team that is nearing the end and knows it's nearing the end, so they want to make a push. They've added a lot of depth to this roster this offseason, trying to just, if anybody gets hurt, they're able to overcome it, is what it feels like.
Sure.
I'm not sure how deep of a run they could look at making, but they're certainly a team that you would think should be capable of making a deep playoff run.
Yeah. And they're looking to make what, like 1 or 2 last pushes maybe?
Exactly. Exactly. A couple of late pushes here, a couple of just some last gasp stretches here while they still can, and see what they can do. All right. Yeah. Let's take a real short, real fast break just so that we can kind of reset for these final 3 teams here for our one question for the Atlantic Division. We will be right back after this.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on 90 Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is going on, everybody? This is Ben Metello, the host of the Yinzer Report, right here on IE Sports Radio. I'm bringing you the latest in the Steel City, the City of Champions, from the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates, as well as the college game with both Penn State and Pitt. You could join me every Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, where I'll be talking about everything from the Steel City, the City of Champions, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the Neutral Zone, everybody. I am Adam Kernick, Zach Puplis along with us. We are doing one question around the Atlantic Division. We've got 3 teams left and about 13 minutes to do it. I think we can make it happen. What do you think, Zach?
Oh, of course.
All right, so let's do it. We've got coming in next, the Tampa Bay Lightning. They finished 3rd in the division, 51-23-8, 110 points in the regular season. They scored 287 goals, gave up 233 goals, plus 54 on that differential. Steven Stamkos led the team in goals and points, 42 goals, 106 assists. Victor Hedman led the team with 65 assists. I'm sorry, Stamkos 42 goals, 106 points. Sorry, I kept misspeaking there. And on the goaltending side of things, Andrei Vasilevsky, of course, arguably the best in the business, 39, 18, and 5, a 2.49 goals against average, 916 save percentage. Made it to the Stanley Cup final for the 3rd year in a row, but could not win it for the 3rd year in a row, losing to Colorado. They've made a priority of bringing back some of their guys here when free agency opened. Mikhail Sergachev is coming back. Anthony Cirelli is coming back. Eric Cernak is coming back. However, that means Andre Palat is not coming back. He signed a free agent deal elsewhere. He signed with the New Jersey Devils. They had to make another move for salary cap implications. My big question for the Lightning: can you make it 4 in a row? What do you see, Zach, as being the obstacle that would stop the Lightning from making it 4 in a row?
At this point, I don't. I mean, we talked about the division. It's a really strong division, but, you know, they've got their same core of returning players. And, you know, as long as they don't see lots of injuries, I think I would not surprise me to see them right back where they are, right back in the Cup final again next year.
Yeah, I agree. They're so deep. They're so talented. Vasilevsky is just so damn good. You know, that alone can carry them through any playoff series. And there's no way, barring catastrophic injuries, that they're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's hard to bet against them. Hard to bet against the Tampa Bay Lightning going into this offseason.
Yep.
All right. That takes us to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They finished 2nd in this division. Zach, what do we know about the Maple Leafs?
I'm just surprised right there that Tampa Bay finished 3rd. You know, I figured it'd be Florida and Tampa Bay 1 and 2, and then Toronto, but Toronto did even better than them. That's wild. I had Florida, so you had Toronto, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Duh. You had said that, and I still forgot it. Maple Leafs, 54, 21, and 7, 115 points overall. They were 315 goals scored this past season, which was second best in the division. And I'm looking throughout the entire league. There weren't a whole lot better than that. There was Florida, and that's it. Second highest goals scored in the entire league for this team. Austin Matthews. 60 goals scored.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews might be the best American-born player right now in the NHL. 60 goals, 106 points in 73 games this season. What a year for him. Mitch Marner led the team in assists with 62. Their goaltending, led by Jack Campbell, 31 wins, 9 losses, 6 overtime losses, a .264 goals against average, a save percentage of .914. They did lose Peter Mrazek. Darn. And his .888 save percentage. Darn, if you're Toronto. I say this in jest, but I mean it seriously. How are you going to get past the first round, Toronto? That is your mission coming into this season. What do you have to do to get past the first round as the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Right. I love that tweet. Name a better rivalry. I'll wait. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the first round.
And the first round, baby.
Well, I mean, if you look at the roster, I think they've made some good moves. They picked up Mark Giordano from the Kraken. His short-lived tenure as captain there.
Yes. We love you, Captain. Now get out of here.
Right? Yeah.
Go fetch us some draft picks and some minor league players to build around.
Right. Captain for what, 4 months? What's that? Captain Phillips. Look at me. I'm the captain now. They got Matt Murray as a goalie in free agency. Originally of Pittsburgh. I think they've got him from Ottawa.
That's a huge upgrade over Peter Mrazek right there.
Yeah, they pulled him from Ottawa. He's been in Ottawa for 2 years. Before that, he was with he's basically who forced out Marc-Andre Fleury in Pittsburgh. So I think doing as much as they can to upgrade both sides of their game. I mean, upgrade the offense, upgrade the defense. Your goalie, Matt Murray, and then Giordano adding to your already strong core of Mitch Marner. Who else here?
William Nylander, John Tavares.
Of course, Austin Matthews, John Tavares. So on.
Yeah, these guys need to figure out how to get past the first round. It's just no ifs, ands, or buts around it. That's what they need to do this upcoming season.
Yeah. Do you think matchup matters in terms of that, or just they just got to do it?
Oh well, matchup's always going to matter. Luck of the draw, depending on where you finish, how you finish, but they just need to when the trade deadline comes up next season, they need to have a hard look at themselves and who it looks like they're likely to get and make sure that they shore up whatever weaknesses they have so that they can beat whomever their first round opponent would be.
Yeah. I remember when all the talk was, 4 seasons ago, about all the off-season free agent ads, and the big hype, the big name that year was John Tavares. And it's like, what has he done since? Nothing.
Yeah. All right, we've got one more team before we get out of here, and then Cale Henderson is coming up with Sin City Sports. So Zach, let's wrap up the Atlantic Division. Tell us about the Florida Panthers.
Yes, sir. Finished first, 58, 18, and 6, 122 points. Goals for 340. Goals against 246. Excuse me. They clinched the President's Trophy for the best record in the league. They're in a similar position to Calgary this year and Colorado in years past. How to make the regular season success translate into postseason success. They've got Alexander Barkov, John Huberdeau, Sergei Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky, has he been better or worse or neutral compared to, since he was having success in Columbus? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's not quite what he was in Columbus, but he's still really darn good. He's a solid A minus kind of goalie. You can win with Bobrovsky. That's not so, if you're making an upgrade on him, you got to work hard to make an upgrade on Bobrovsky.
Gotcha. We thought they were going to have Claude Giroux. Just kidding. He's now a Senator. That was short-lived. And you got Joe Thornton on the team, too, who is playing the role of Marian Hossa here. He was a long-time San Jose Shark. Is he ever going to win a cup?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yep. Yeah. He's just bouncing from team to team. Who can get me that cup so I can retire?
Yeah, exactly. So, what do you think? How do they make regular season success translate to postseason success?
I'm trying to remember. Did they made the postseason in 21? Correct? They made it in on that with all the weird divisions. Yes.
I think so. Let me look back here, but I'll look it up. You keep going.
I'm thinking they've made it now 2 years in a row. They need to hunker down defensively. They score plenty of goals. They have no problems scoring. Obviously, when you look at them, the 340 goals, that's the best in the NHL. Nobody scored better than they did. I think they need to look at their defense a little bit and figure out how do we improve there. I mean, you look defensively at the team, you've got a lot of their defenders are finishing in minus territory in the plus minus categories. Obviously, you've got not everybody. I mean, you've got guys like Aaron Ekblad, who's finishing 38 in the plus minus. You've got Mackenzie Weegar, who is contributing well for you. He's 44 points, plus 40 in the plus minus, but I want to see more depth defensively. They've got a good pairing. You've got to get a second and third pair defensively to really help out and help Bobrovsky and the rest of that team. I'm trying to look up their team stats real quick too of how they were on the power play and more specifically on the penalty kill.
They made the playoffs the last 3 years. 2020, they lost in that qualifying round, that extra round in the bubble. Last year, they lost in the first round, and this year they lost in the conference semis. This year, they had 58 wins. Last year, 37, and the year before that, 35. So they were significantly better this year.
Okay, that makes sense. So, yeah, for me, it's the next step for me for Florida is you've got to shore up that defense. You've got to get a second and third pairing out there so that you're not just rolling one pair deep defensively and then just hoping Bobrovsky can keep everything out of the net on the other side. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, we went just a little over, but Kale is taking the night off, so there's no Sin City tonight, so it was okay that we went over a couple minutes. We're good.
Well, sounds good.
Yeah, how about that? That'll do it for our show tonight. Next week, we will be wrapping up one question around the league. We've got one division left to go, the Metropolitan. So we'll be taking a hard look at teams such as the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll be looking at the Pittsburgh Penguins, Washington Capitals, all kinds of crazy fun stuff going on there. We will be right back with that next week. Want to say thank you to, once again, our sponsors, the Southern California Warriors, and a big thank you to our Patreon supporters, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, Bay Area Raised, and Anonymous. Big shout out and thank you to Larry B for all the hard work he does behind the scenes. He's also been doing 8 divisions in 8 days with 3 and Out. We had the NFC this week, 4 shows in 4 days, and he's doing it again next week, 4 shows in 4 days. So lots going on there. Thank you to Taryn for hanging out in the chat room with us, keeping us busy, keeping us honest, keeping our count going there as we parade around and all have all kinds of crazy conversations and comparisons on the show tonight. For Zach Popoulos, I am Adam Karnick. Together we are the Neutral Zone. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us for the last hour plus. We really appreciate, whether you've been listening live or you've been listening later on as a podcast, we really appreciate you guys being here with us. We will be back next week breaking down the Metropolitan Division. Until then, as always, make sure you don't get checked out of the boards. Try to light the lamp as much as you can. And, of course, stay out of the penalty box. We'll see you next week.